in our continuous focus, while people of Chennai are still facing acute water scarcity, the state government downplays it in just a case of manageable shortage. Bureau Now is on ground exposing rampant private water tanker mafia, illegal borewell digging in the vicinity of lakes completely drying out the waterbed. Kerala comes up on top as the healthiest state, and this is as per the latest Niti Aayog Health Index report. Uttar Pradesh, Odisha and Bihar identified as the worst performers. This shocking medical apathy from Jammu that has been exposed. It is once again a case of an ambulance from a government healthcare centre that is being used instead to ferry poultry. Chief Minister Reddy orders the demolition of public grievance cell set up by the former Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu. He's called it an encroachment on a riverbed. There's yet another instance of mob violence that emerges from Rajasthan this time. Two men being targeted allegedly for attending a woman's birthday party. India pays the price of VVIP arrogance, 400 kilograms of garbage that is left behind after a 200 crore wedding that took place at Himachal Pradesh. US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo in India for a 3-day meet. The US statesman meets Prime Minister Modi and Foreign Minister Jaishankar. Good afternoon. You are with the big story at 2 p.m. this afternoon. I'm Seher Zama. Top of the focus, in fact, on our continuous focus regarding the water crisis in Tamil Nadu, which is worsening by the day. You should remember Chennai that has just topped an international list of mega cities which are worst hit by water scarcity, leaving behind several South African cities as well. In today's show, in a Mirror Now expose on what is further worsening the situation, indiscriminate digging up of illegal borewells and the water tanker mafia. Case in point here being the Nanmangalam lake, which has not been desilted and it has also been encroached upon. There are illegal wells that have been dug up on farmlands located right next to lakes, and the water from these borewells that are being allegedly sold at exorbitant price in the black market. We'll look at this report from our correspondent Pramod.
Illegal borewells, rampant water mafia. The water crisis in Tamil Nadu only seems to worsen by the day. This is the Nanmangalam lake in Chennai, one of the major water sources in the state. With encroachment of the lake and illegal borewells being dug right next to it, this lake is dying a slow death. At Nanmangalam Lake, we found that desilting work has not started yet. What's worse, the lake has also been encroached upon.
Recently, Tamil Nadu government submitted a report with the Madras High Court where they said that of the 210 water bodies, 5 have been desilted and have been prepared to catch the water, the monsoon rainwater. However, we are in one of the water bodies that has been not maintained by Tamil Nadu government, and this is the Nanmangalam water body, Nanmangalam lake. Here you could see the actual bund, that is the actual kind of border that is supposed to be fixed by the Tamil Nadu government, but you could see large rocks that have been placed, that's all, it's full of silt.
Mirror Now exposed how illegal wells have been dug up on farmlands located right next to the lake. The water from these borewells is allegedly being sold by the water mafia at exorbitant rates.
With all the sources of groundwater drying up, one of the last sources for Chennai to acquire water is from farmlands and the wells that's supposed to provide water to the farmlands. There you could see how the farmlands themselves are completely dry, and there are several lakes around the area. In fact, this led to a filing of a PIL claiming that illegal wells are being built around the lakes and waters being drawn. Here you could see such kind of thing.
The opposition in the state, DMK, had raised the Tamil Nadu water crisis issue in the parliament, alleging that AIA-DMK's corruption has led to this crisis.
We are in the utter water distress, sir. But what to do, sir? Your allies, the BJP allies, the ruling ally, ADMK, sir, they're so complicit. So we knew that there was no water rain for the last 1 year. They did nothing. So they are slaves. They are only noticed slaves. They do not want to be working for the people.
Even as the entire state is reeling under water crisis, the state government continues to downplay the issue.
The need may be 100%, but presently 80% failure of monsoon, 60%. Up to the limit above 60 means 80 means it's a good no. Already we are actually in dialogue with the people only. There is no issue.
As the state government turns a blind eye, the Madras High Court has sought a district-wise report from collectors on groundwater situation in the state. With Pramod, Madhav, Bureau Report, Mirror Now.
Let's throw this debate open to our guests with us this afternoon. Appreciate you being with us. We have Mr. Ravi Narayanan, who is the chairperson of the Asia Pacific Water Forum. Also, Mr. Kishore Swamy, political analyst. But before that, I'm going to be getting in some crucial points, inputs here by our correspondent Pramod, with special reportage here. Pramod, in what has been exposed here, illegal borewell digging that continues, how the water mafia, the water tanker mafia that continues to operate here as well, with the state government entirely looking away. We just heard that response that you gotten from the state minister saying that as far as water shortage, they're still calling it shortage. As far as water shortage is concerned, it is 80% because of a failure of monsoons, nothing else.
Well, that's a kind of like a dreamland they are living in, because now they are turning into a different episode, claiming that Chennai is a rain deficit in a rain deficit area and the monsoons constantly failing. However, they want to make sure that make it look like because of monsoon failure only this kind of issues occurring in a city like Chennai. We had Tiruvallur in the front and Kanchipuram behind Chennai, and still it's turning into an issue. However, when we spoke to activists, experts, and those who follow the weather, they claim it's a constant thing with Chennai that water from various other locations that reaches Chennai. The reservoirs we have in the north, we have in the south of Chennai as well. Those are the places that bring us water. And not just that, the bigger question is why was the water reservoirs or these water bodies not maintained or not desilted? Have they done it? At least this kind of issue we could have faced it only after next, probably by September or something, by which we would have at least had some more rains and we could have survived. But for now, the situation is entirely different. And interestingly, the Tamil Nadu government is trying to go towards desalination process. That's a kind of a different issue, because already you have water bodies, you are losing the water bodies, and you want to go for saltwater desalination process. Why? Because you need to spend more money on that. 1,500 crores is going to be spent on a third plant from Nemeli, but at the same time they're not ready to desilt and maintain the water bodies which can easily provide the water. Isn't this actually spending the taxpayers' money unnecessarily? Only the government can answer.
Right. Mr. Kishore Swamy, appreciate you being with us. What can you possibly say in the state government's response here today? Because you have continued to maintain, in calling yourself an independent observer here on how things have panned out, that the state government really is innocent. It's out of its hands. It has been a year of a monsoon deficit or delayed monsoons, successive years, and there's nothing much that they can do. But this is an expose which indicates that there has been an indiscriminate digging out of water illegally.
No, see, I'm not giving a clean sheet to the government, but I'm trying to say here, what I'm trying to pass on here is you're being selective in addressing this issue. see, you are talking about Nanmangalam Lake. Why are you not talking about the Adayar Lake, which was rejuvenated by the government and which is ready for usage now? Why are you not talking about the Avadi Lake, which was rejuvenated and has now been opened a couple of days ago by the Minister Mafa Pandey Rajan? Now you are being selective. Now you talk about 210 water bodies, out of which 4 have been, as per the government affidavit, 4 have been ready. Those are the 4 major reservoirs. Why do you connect the reservoirs confuse the reservoirs with the other water bodies? One thing. The second thing is desilting process is something that you cannot do when the water is there in the in the lake. For example, in 2015 and 2016, up to 2016, we had the water filled up in the lakes. How do you desilt it when the water is there? Now, the third thing that I would like to point out here is, as far as the borewells, illegal borewells are concerned, this is a factor that is happening throughout Tamil Nadu, not throughout Tamil Nadu, throughout India. This is a problem that is afflicting India, where you have the agricultural sector going unaudited. Nobody questions them. They consume 85% of the total water consumption of the state is being, is being consumed by the agricultural sector, but they are going unaudited.
So, but this is what the Chief Minister had said. When Mr. Kishore, when our correspondent Pramod had specifically asked the Chief Minister on what his government is doing about the water tanker mafia, he said he would not like to interfere on that right now. If not now, in this crisis, then when?
Now, how can he, you tell me how legally can he interfere? You tell me how can he legally interfere in somebody selling water privately? I live in KK
You're
Nagar.
telling me that someone sitting in the Chief Minister's chair
system in place
is
in my house.
Helpless
I have
rampant
abundant water.
corruption
Now, if I
happening
choose to sell,
at the
can the
water
government
bodies
interfere?
borewell digging here, and he can do nothing about it. Is that why he's sitting in his chair, to serve the people? What options lie with the Chief Minister to take action against a mafia?
How do you think the Chief Minister can interfere?
Let's have our correspondent Pramod with that. Pramod, this is the tragic scenario that a Chief Minister, when specifically asked about a mafia that exists, a black market which is currently looting the people, he says he would not like to interfere. Mr. Kishore Swamy says that the Chief Minister can do nothing about it. Why is he sitting in the Chief Minister's chair then?
No, the Chief Minister can definitely interfere in various stages. The first one is taking over the tanker lorries, because having a crisis, the Chief Minister has the power to take over the private entities to make sure they provide the water, by which a person who is supposed to pay only 1,250 rupees for 9,000 liters of water does not have to pay 10,000 rupees for 9,000 liters of water. Point number one. The second thing is that Public Works Department falls under the Chief Minister. SP Velumani, he's the minister for taking care of these water crisis. We put forward the question about what kind of reservoirs, the desilting procedures have been done in the 4 major reservoirs, be it Pundi, Pural, Chembrambakam and Cholavaram. The answer he gave 4 days ago, the answer he gave is that Public Work Department falls under the Chief Minister, so he will give a response. When we met the Chief Minister, when we put forward the question, he said funds are being allocated and under Kudimaramat scheme, work will be initiated, work will be done. When? No answer. How much funds? Almost 1,500 crores. For all these things fall under the Chief Minister. If I have to talk about the Nanmangalam Lake alone itself, so if Adayar Lake and other lakes have been done, so what is the reason Nanmangalam Lake has been allowed to go for encroachment? These actual outlets from these wells that is very close to the lake actually falls on the main road. All the authorities have to go is go there and you can see those pipes on the main road. You just follow the trace back as in the visuals. Immediately they can find out the people. They are sitting over there guarding the lakes and they are selling water. If you enter, they simply ask the question, how much water do you want, and the address, and you're getting the water. No delay, no wait for 5 days or 6 days like that. Private entities are able to provide it immediately, and that's why the Chief Minister and the government seems to have failed.
Let's in fact take this point across here to the chairperson of the Asia Pacific Water Forum here with us, Mr. Ravi Narayan as well. Appreciate you being with us this afternoon, sir. Mr. Narayan, the sense that one gets here that this is an expose on how illegal water tapping is being done, illegal borewells are being dug up, the water tanker mafia is active in the black market, extorting from people because in desperate need of water. But the chief minister here would say that he would do nothing about this. He would not want to interfere about this at this point of time. Do you think that the chief minister is in a very helpless position right now, or he just doesn't care?
Well, look, this is not a new problem in Chennai. The problem of water shortages has been there for years and years, I would say decades. Now we are at a crisis point because of the acute nature of the crisis. And it is the responsibility of the highest functionary, which is the highest political office, to take responsibility for this. But the solution is not going to be immediate. The solution is going to be very long term. If you want a solution to Chennai's water problems, then we have to think about years and years and perhaps decades of investment, of public information, and for drastic changes to the way we value water, and for citizens to be prepared to pay for it. At the moment, because it is a fractured entity, people look for their own advantage, but they have to look to for the advantage of everybody together. You can't make it on your own. At the moment, we have a fragmented polity, and this is the result that we see before us.
That's right. But Mr. Ravi Narayan, when we speak in this manner, it has been decades of exploitation. It is going to be taking years to fix this. That only puts the burden on your mind all that more, making it sound as an issue which cannot be fixed. Therefore, you have the state government saying that this is happening because of 80% because of a deficit monsoon. It is an excuse that is given to the state government. All right, I'm going to be taking that question forth here to our guest in just a bit. We seem to have lost that line here. Let me, in fact, make that point further here with the information that is available in that expose done by our team, our correspondent Pramod, with those inputs here. Pramod, each time that we're talking about, we're looking at a workable solution that the government at hand could do. Experts here say that it has been a case of decades of exploitation in the system. Therefore, it cannot be fixed now. And that very argument wherein which is picked up by the state government in saying, look, nothing can be fixed now. We are still entirely dependent on the monsoon.
Well, that question can actually, we are not exactly sure if it could be reliable, because in 2015 Chennai had a flood, and all be it like T Nagar, various other locations was completely flooded. What was the reason then? That was not like an excess monsoon, though AIDMK claims that it was once in 100 years rain. It was not the actual way by the people who actually follow the weather. They claim that in 2005 same amount of rainfall was in Chennai, but not this kind of damages, because by that time there was not this much encroachment and water bodies were maintained to an extent. But this time it's an entirely different situation. In fact, as Kishore Keswami said, if it is Arvind Lake, if he has mentioned, this is the previous picture. This booklet has been given by the Tamil Nadu government. This is how it looked, and this is the work they have done so far. This is a very small lake. We are talking about Nanmangalam, which should be at least more than 100 acres, and there is so much encroachment in it. All the time, Madras High Court has constantly said, what kind of work the Tamil Nadu government has done about repairing or taking care of encroachments. No work has been done. The Public Work Department always has fallen under the Chief Minister, and Edappadi Palaniswamy is the one who's responsible right now. So that is why we are putting forward the question as to what kind of work has been done about, removing encroachments or taking care of the water bodies, because though the government constantly claims that it is monsoon failure, not maintaining water bodies has also been one of the issues for this kind of struggle Chennai is facing now.
Right. Mr. Kishore, you mentioned two lakes that have been restored well in time, two lakes right now in Chennai, one just having been inaugurated by a state minister here. Exactly how much water are these two lakes being able to provide to people, which given area? Has this come in at a time which serves as a rescue? Just two lakes revived. Should we think that this is some great rescue job done by the government in the face of several hundreds that have dried up?
No. See, I'm not. No. It is a duty of the government to restore each and every water body. I am not trying to justify the government on that front, but what I'm trying to say is when you when you point out the failures of the government, which you allege, you should also point out where the government has functioned, where it has performed. That's all I am trying to say. Now, Avadi municipality is now it has been declared as a separate
Kishore, this is
municipality.
minuscule.
Now, it is having its own lake.
There can possibly be found no balance in that. If two small lakes have been revived in the face of 5 main reservoirs of Chennai drying up and 220 not desilted in time, do we just sit and celebrate about these 2 lakes, which is just a drop in the ocean? Is that the basis to pat the state government that they seem to have done their job?
220 not being desilted in time doesn't arise because what? No, the question of about 220 water bodies not being desilted in time does not arise at all because desilting is an annual process. Now, supposing let us assume that we have desilted the 4 reservoirs, main reservoirs before 2014. By 2015, we had the flood, which means that the whole process would have been reversed. The whole silt would have been there again. It would have come back again. So it is a yearly process. So let us not assume that this desilting is a one-time affair. No, it is not so. It is a continuous process that has to happen. Now, what does the government say in its affidavit in the court? It says very clearly that the desilting process is going on in the other in a fast pace, and it should near the it should come to an end in about a month or so. That's what the affidavit says in the court. Now, as far as the 4 main reservoirs are concerned, the desilting process is over. The desilting process could not have been taken up when the water was there. When you have the water, you can't do the desilting.
Right. Mr. Ravi Narayan,
so to blame the government when there is a drought
from your expertise, should this be something that should have been done by the state government months in advance, instead of putting it in affidavit in the court here saying that it is a process which is still on? Is this something that should have been done months in advance?
Not just months in advance, years in advance. Chennai's problems today are India's problems tomorrow. So we have to take anticipatory action, and that looks at the big picture, not whether Lake X or Lake Y is desilted now or 2 months ago. You have to look at the whole water balance. What are the water resources available for Chennai and other big cities? What is the demand projection? And then we have to plan for how you can overcome that. There are going to be droughts, and there are going to be more droughts in the future than now. So one can't be surprised by droughts, but one has to plan and anticipate for them, for which many things are going to be needed. A huge investment plan is going to be needed because you can't get water on the cheap. Second, people will have to be prepared to pay for their water to the extent that they meet the costs for its maintenance of the facilities. And third, there has to be some degree of public education which makes people aware of their responsibilities in the wise use of water. All these things are important, but that requires firm leadership and action over a long period of time, not just over the next week or 2. I'm talking about years and maybe even decades.
All right, so this is once again beginning to sound an absolute Herculean task, and this is the damage that we do even in the argument to say that there has been decades of damage, agreeable, but that this is a Herculean task only gives a handle to the argument to the state government here that because it is so difficult, might as well just say that nothing can be done, sit back and wait for the monsoons. It's very easy for the state government here to say this, but for the people suffering who are lining up for hours, starting midnight onwards to get those 4 pots of water, it is no easy task. We appreciate all our panelists who've spoken to us, our correspondent Pramod as well, for that exclusive coverage here in the ongoing Chennai crisis. While the state government here continues to downplay it, it has attracted international attention as well, because now Chennai is topping an international list for water scarcity. And Hollywood superstar Leonardo DiCaprio has also taken to Instagram to highlight this, posting a news report on his social media handle of Chennai residents fetching water from a deep well, showing an extremely distraught state of affairs for the people, for our people of Chennai. Thank you for being here.